Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm going to talk about the uproar in Armand.
I'm Alan, and I'm going to tell you about the tie in of Norse mythology and the Infinity Stones.
I'm Carlos, and I'm going to tell you the place in the United States where you could kill someone and get away with it.
What do all these stories have to do with the word stone? You're about to find out in this week's History Bluffs. The Armchair Historical Society is proud to present this episode of History Bluffs, where truth is stranger than fiction. I want to welcome to the screen our host with the most. It is Gina. Everybody give it up for Gina. There she is. No, there she is. Wait, that's not
I'll
Gina,
give
that's
her up.
Chris.
There
Hi,
it is.
there I am.
Oh, hey.
Yay.
I can tell you, and I hope it was worth the wait for you all. That was so fun. I was so excited. Like, where am I? There she is. Hi, everybody. Welcome to History Bluffs, where we four and Adam, so we five, will show you that sometimes truth can be stranger than fiction. The way that tonight will work, you've saw or heard the topics from all of our panelists, and let me tell you why they chose their topics. We pick a word every week, and we use that as the base for all of our stories. So all three people will be telling you a story, and the topic tonight, Adam, our tech tonight. What is our topic?
Our topic tonight is stone.
Okay, cool. So stone, the word stone. So they can use that however they interpreted it. And I'm going to tell you the rules of the game, and then we'll get into it. So Adam, please throw up the rule card, and I'll tell everybody how it works, and then play along as much or as little as you'd like from your home studio. We'll talk with the comment in the comments.
Here's the rules, Gina. You asked for them.
Thank you. I got them. So tonight we're going to tell you three stories. Every person will tell one story based on the topic of stone. And the only rules that we have, and these are the only rules, is that if a true story is being told, the person telling the truth will have to tell you that story completely true. They cannot make any facts up about it. The bluff story, the person who is trying to trick you, one of the actors tonight, they will be trying to trick you, only one. And their story must be completely false unless they layer in a couple of historical facts to bookend their story and help them out to make it seem plausible, but they are trying to fool you, so don't be fooled. The only other thing is, please at home, if you want to look things up on Google, go right ahead, but please don't share it in the comments, because the surprise at the end is that the only person tonight who knows who the bluffer is me, and nobody else knows. We will reveal that at the end, that you can play along at home and try to guess who you think is actually telling the truth and who you think is bluffing. If you get it right, you get a prize, which is having coffee with Adam the Tech.
Yay.
Yay. And maybe some of the other cast members will join you. And we didn't say the coffee would be live. It could be a Zoom call, but hey, that's the prize. So welcome to the show, and we are ready to begin. I'm going to go from top to bottom just to say hello to everybody and let them say hello to you. Alan, how's your day going?
Oh, it's going relatively well. You know, I actually was doing some yard work today, still cleaning up debris from Hurricane Ian, and later to be followed by the debris from Nicole.
Those two should date.
They should, right?
It'd be a very messy relationship, but fun. So, did you find any rocks in your yard?
Rocks? Yeah, right. Nothing on topic. It's all tree debris, but yeah, no stones.
No stones
were turned.
Potentially, there are some that are still unturned out there.
Plenty.
Okay, Carlos. Thanks, Alan. Bye, Alan. I'm sorry. That was just a really weird.
Bye, Alan.
Carlos. Bye, Alan. Carlos, hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Gina?
Good. How come you only got one ear going tonight?
What's that? What do you mean, one ear?
You got one. Yeah,
one
you
little
got one.
Thing.
One
I'll
wire,
put in the other one. You know, I just want to hear if an intruder breaks into my home and tries to kill me. But you're right, Gina. This game show is far more important. Here we go. Now I can't hear anything.
I want you to be
now
safe.
the microphone's by your ear.
Yeah.
My hope is if they break in, they throw a stone through the window, because then you would hear it and be able to do the show. You see?
Well, they got a hell of an arm, because I'm on the 9th floor of this building, so that would be something. It would be like it would be flying in the air like Homelander.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I would
you
be
know,
dead.
I mean, but if they got it that high, in my opinion, they deserve to be there and rob you because that's
Oh, wow.
really, really far.
Well, if they made the effort to get that high, I don't think
Yeah.
they're just robbing me. But they
Yeah.
do get respect.
Yeah,
They
they
very
do get
get
respect.
respect.
Like, oh, yeah, exactly. So thank Carlos, get out of here. Chris, hi, how you doing?
Hello. I'm doing
Uh,
well, thank you. How are you,
good.
Gina?
I'm very good, very good. How was your day? How was your day today? Anything cool, new, exciting, related to Stone, maybe?
Well, like a stone, my day turned actually positively. I started off with a frustrating day. The universe was definitely challenging me in the first couple of hours of the day, and it started with just like very slow driving traffic as I was going somewhere with purpose, and then lights not working on the street, and then it was culminated with I had pre-ordered a breakfast sandwich at Einstein Bagel, which probably I deserve what happened to me because I ordered pre-ordered breakfast sandwich at Einstein Bagel. But nonetheless, I ordered it online. I go in there, and some expletive deleted had taken my sandwich off the rack. So I hope that karma gets that person. They gave me, they get me another sandwich, but I had to wait. The purpose of ordering ahead, you just go in and you grab it. But some selfish blank took my sandwich. I couldn't believe it. So, but
If that selfish blank is listening and we see you in real life, we will stone you. No, we won't.
Oh,
That's our
we
thing.
definitely will stone. But my day turned better much. Once I got to the office, I had a very good day.
Oh, good. I'm so glad that it turned out to be better. And also, from being from New York, I actually really love Einstein's Bagels. I cannot say enough about them. So I just, maybe I've been away too long. I don't know, but I like them. So anyway, we're gonna go into the show now. Thanks, guys. It's great talking with you. I think it helps our listeners get to know you a little better. My day was good as well, but we have to start the show. The show's gonna be divided in 3 rounds. Each round will get consecutively shorter each time, so that they have to get their information out quicker to make the game more fun. So tonight we're going to start. We're actually going to start with Alan right in the middle there. Alan, please, we're going to start your story first because we're about to go into what we call the first round of the show. And Adam, what is that?
Round 1.
Yay! And Alan will be our first historian telling you his story related to Stone. Alan, you can start whenever the bomb goes off right now.
All right. Well, I'm gonna educate you on some mythology. See, first we're gonna start with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You might have seen in the Avengers movies plural, that there were the Infinity Stones. Now, in the Marvel comics, those were actually originally known as Soul Gems. The original one was found on Adam Warlock's forehead. That was the Soul Gem, and then it was later revealed that there were sister gems to it, and then Thanos renamed them from Soul Gems to Infinity Gems because they each had a different aspect of the universe that they were able to control. In the movies, the character Thor introduced them as Infinity Stones, and the reason why they changed the name to Stones is because Asgard, Thor's home world, is the home of Norn stones. Now, what are Norn stones? They are actually a part of Norwegian mythology and are found not only in Norse mythology, but also in Norwegian art portraying the said mythology. And you'll learn more later.
Well, just so that I'm understanding it, because you all tease me that I don't know comic book stuff, that you're saying the Infinity Stones from the movie are based on real life things.
Well, real life being Norse mythology. They're actually based on Norwegian mythology, not just comic books.
Wow. Okay, this is very good. You also could be pulling the wool right over my eye. But Carlos, please give me your thoughts on Alan's story, truth or bluff.
Gina, this is bluff crap. Okay,
Bluff crap.
do we know? We know how comic book people are, hashtag release the Snyderverse or whatever. If something was called a soul gem in the original comic, you would have heard a billion people scream out in one voice, it's not an Infinity Stone, it's a soul gem. That is in issue number 5 in 1986. Adam Warlock had a soul gem. How can you change this? Kevin Feige, replace him with Snyder. That's what would have happened if any of this was real. And no one said a peep. No one said peep one. It's all bluff shit. All right? Pure bluff shit.
You upgraded him from bluff crap to bluff shit, in one full
full S word on me. Okay,
went to
He
PG.
worked himself up for that. Yeah.
Having said that, I mean that is a good point. It feels
Thank you, impartial host.
You're welcome. The one that doesn't know anything about comics. That's my thinking. I'm gonna, because I know who's lying and who's bluffing, I should say. I'm gonna just mess with you all right now. Chris, I want your input on that, please.
Well, I'm not going to get as worked up as Carlos did, but I will use my glasses like he did a little bit. Yeah, but I was intrigued by Alan's, and Alan does this a lot. He threw out a lot of facts and very rapid fire, like name dropping of characters and universes and things, and I know that Thanos is a character, but it sounds disturbingly similar to Theranos, which is a controversial company that had a run-in with the law recently. I'm just intrigued by Alan's use of this technique, and so far I'm on the fence. I want to hear more of his name dropping in round 2 to determine whether or not I'm going to believe him as not the bluffer.
I love that you're like Theranos, because that's related.
Theranos.
Yeah.
Went to jail. He went to jail for 11 years.
Yep. Was that?
He went to jail for 11 years for taking blood. Theranos.
Oh, that woman! I know you're
lying about taking blood.
Yeah, it's not the same though, Chris. No,
I know it's not. I'm saying it's.
Or is it?
Or is it? He just got the idea. I see what you're saying. It was in the news. He got the idea. I'm with you. Okay, I mean that's a strategy. But now it's gonna be Carlos's turn to talk though. So now, Carlos, you get to tell us your round 1 of your story, and you can start whenever that noise goes on the screen.
All right. Well, stone makes me think of Yellowstone, as in Yellowstone National Park, the majority of which sits in Wyoming, is under the federal district in care of Wyoming. However, about 3% of it, a sliver, 50 square miles of it, is within Montana and or Idaho. Little pieces of it are in Montana and Idaho. So back in 2005, there was a law professor from Michigan State. His name was Brian Kalt, and he wrote a paper titled "The Perfect Crime," where he proposes that there may potentially be a zone of death within Yellowstone National Park where there are no laws, and this is why. He says that the 6th Amendment says that people of the Constitution, of the U.S. Constitution, says that people charged with crimes have a right to be tried by a jury of their peers, selected from the state and region where the crime took place. But in this little zone, it's like the federal court is one thing, but the state is the other thing, and people don't live there. So can there be a jury? And if there can't, can there be a trial?
Ooh, this is good. That's very controversial there, Carlos. And also, it goes along with most of my themes, the perfect crime. I love it. Chris, you're making a face. What does that face mean?
That face means that it's bold of Carlos to call out Adam for bluff crap and then come out with this story immediately right out of the gate.
Did you say Adam or Alan?
Alan. He called Alan.
He said Alan. I meant Alan. Did I say Alan? Okay, but anyway,
we look alike.
If he calls Adam bluff crap, Adam's just going to leave him off the feed for the rest of the show.
Chris's comments are as inaccurate as his story will be.
You don't get to rebut. You don't get to rebuttal. This is not how this works. We are not in a court of law, as opposed to your story where this guy would get acquitted in a court of law because there's no one there. I find it hard to believe. I mean, we have unincorporated Orange County. There's unincorporated spots all around the U.S. It seems to me very similar to a certain, politician saying that he could stand on Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and not get convicted for it. I find Carlos unbelievable at the moment. I'm skeptical.
Carlos,
Fifth Avenue. Here you go. Fifth Avenue is under the city,
gotta
state,
pass it.
and county of New York.
Okay. All right. So I'm loving Carlos' story because I love crime and I'm intrigued. However, Chris, you made some good points. Alan, what do you think?
Similar to what Chris is saying, it sounds like a bunch of hogwash. So the perfect crime would be if you're not in any incorporated area. What about international waters? I mean, people can still be guilty of crimes.
Can they?
Yes.
Can they?
Okay, so people are
By
murdering
who?
each other in international waters.
Ooh, I think abortion.
then-
Well,
no,
whose jurisdiction
right
are they
there.
under?
Have you
Whose
been on a
jurisdiction?
Carnival cruise?
Carnival
They
Cruise.
did on the Carnival?
The Carnival Cruise Police.
Okay.
The CCC, Carnival Cruise.
They mostly fall off the boat. Sorry.
What's that?
That's,
As long as
follow
they
up.
They
get that poor
mostly
guy.
fall off.
That is also the perfect crime. Whoops, they fell. Oh
Yeah,
no.
whoops, my brother fell.
My wife fell, and I get all her life's insurance.
Yeah. Well, I think that's really cool. So we're going to put a pin in the Yellowstone National Park story. And also, you get an extra bonus point if Yogi the Bear shows up. And now we're going to go to Chris. Chris, you get to start your story. Well, first you got to get to the center. Let's get you to the center square. And now you tell your story when the bomb goes.
All right. Well, my story is titled The Uproar in Roermond. And basically, Roermond is a historically important Dutch town that was established all the way back in 1231 on the east bank of the River Meuse in the Netherlands. In 1568, there was a battle just outside of Roermond that triggered the start of the 80 Years' War leading to Dutch independence from Spain. It was also located just southeast of Eindhoven, which might be familiar to World War II fans, because that was the first air raid in World War II. But locally, Roermond is most famous for being the home to the Begraafplaats Cemetery, the site of the gravestones of Colonel Jacobus Warnerus Constantinus van Gorkum and Lady Josephine Carlina Petronella Hubertina van Afferden. And in the 1800s, the law of pillarization was in effect in the Netherlands, requiring segregation on the grounds of religion and creating separate newspapers, banks, schools, hospitals, etc., even cemeteries. And the cemetery is where this story is headed. We're going to hear about the headstones of these two people, Colonel von Gorkum and Lady Afferden, coming up in future rounds.
Ooh, Lady Aphrodite, very similar to Aphrodite. And then that's also a Greek goddess. Ooh, this is all tying together subconsciously. Alan, what are your thoughts about his story about the uproar in
Well, if
Roermond?
the story's not a bluff, then I'm learning about Dutch being independent from Spain, which is complete news to me. But otherwise, I'm waiting to hear the story about the headstones, because then we'll finally work stones into the story.
If anybody watching can look up on Google and tell us what pillarization. Will that screw up your story if we know what pillarization is? Because that was
No, I told you what it is. It was the law at the time in the Netherlands that required separation based on religion and politics.
Oh, that's what it. Okay, I apologize. In my head, it was related to headstones. I missed that. I apologize.
Why are you encouraging the audience to break the rules of the show?
That's the only rule for my own edification. Like,
You look it up yourself and keep it to yourself.
But then you would have seen me looking it all up, and that's creepy.
Yeah, no, it would be creepy. You're the host. You can look things up.
Whatever. You guys yell at me every time I do it.
You're not a historian today.
What's that?
You're not a historian right now. It's okay.
Oh, you can do it when you're hosting? You
I
guys
think so.
It's like,
Sorry.
hey, audience, don't look up the answer. Don't spoil it. But, look this one thing up. If you don't mind. Look this one thing up to verify Chris's story if you could. But
Use
other
Google,
than that,
but don't use it too
and then
much.
let me know.
Yeah.
And then post it publicly. But don't tell anyone who's bluffing.
This is my life. Rules don't
Unbelievable.
apply to me. Hello. Okay. So now, the one rule that does apply right now is that you all have completed round 1, which leads us to the next best thing, which is
Round 2.
all right. So round 2 now means we're going to go in a different order, and we're going to go. Everybody's story is shortened by 15 seconds.
Oh,
So the order that we'll start, we're going to start with Chris's story. Chris, tell us your round 2 of your story about the pillarization and the headstones and all those goodies in the cemetery. My kind of place.
Right.
Hey,
All
before we
right.
get there, Gina, it dawns on me. But it dawns on me, I don't know who the bluff is.
Oh, it dawns on you. I
Right.
do.
Adam does not.
I need to
And I'm
know.
going to pick apart their stories and support their stories
But you
just
need,
to trick the
you
audience.
need to message me. You need
You'll
to
need to
private
text
message
Adam.
Oh,
me.
here,
Why,
here,
you need
Gina.
that he knows it's
Gina,
me.
why
Adam,
don't you post
Adam.
it in the chat? Why don't you
Yes.
post it in the chat and Adam will see it there? Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
the
Public
other
sure, I
listeners-
just put
It'll
it
be
in
in
the
the chat.
comments.
Google
We'll
it.
try
Yeah.
not to look.
Oh,
Google it, Adam.
Adam, don't
Google it.
look.
We'll just post it on the thing.
Yeah. Oh, you're being played off, all of you.
That's what happens.
I'll play you off.
Shoot. Let me know for the end of the show so I can put the right person in the bluff spot.
Also,
Otherwise, it's
and
going
I'm
to be
not
weird
sure
ending
if
to the
this
show.
is- Sorry, Adam, I cut you off. What?
No, it's going to be weird ending to the show if I don't know who the bluff is.
No, okay. Also, I don't know if I'm feeding into a troll or if this is a real person, but I don't pull out. Said he's late. That's funny to me.
That's so true. There it
Means
is.
I don't pull
You're not
out.
late.
That's awesome.
You didn't
Isn't
miss
that
anything.
funny to anybody else? Who you know? Is this me?
It could also
don't
mean
know.
it also could be short for I didn't pull out, depending on
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You can
Well,
go
that's like
back and
late.
watch it after the show. Go back and watch it from the
Anyway,
beginning.
back to the show. I'm sorry,
All right,
guys.
back to the show. We are on
There's so
Topic
many
Stone
jokes about
Battles.
that.
All right, Gina, the reins are yours.
The reins are. That's where it goes off the rails, though, Adam.
Okay, I'll take them back. Chris, you got your round 2. Nailed
I'm
it,
just
buddy.
waiting for my timer. There we go. Okay. So, Colonel von Gorkum was a high-ranking member of the Dutch cavalry, and he was the militia commissioner of the region of Limburg. Lady Van Efferding was a local noblewoman, and she was a Roman Catholic. Despite the protestations of her family and many of the town leaders, they fell in love, causing quite the uproar in Roermond because, you see, the colonel was a 33-year-old Protestant with no links to nobility at all. He was a soldier, a career soldier. Lady Van Efferding, she was only 22 years old, and she was a member of one of the most prominent families in the region. He was Protestant, she was Catholic. This pillarization thing existed. You can't mix those two things back then in the Netherlands. They married in 1842 against everybody's wishes. Fast forward 38 years. Colonel von Gorkum dies on the 29th of August in 1880 at 71 years old. 8 years later, Lady Van Efferding died on 29th of November in 1888 at the age of 68. Her wishes were to be buried next to her husband. But because of this law called pillarization, it wasn't allowed. We'll find out what happened in round number 3.
Wow, pillarization. I thought that's where you turned around and somebody turned to salt, but that's just a different thing, I guess. Carlos, what do you think?
I think pillarization is a key part of whether or not Chris's story is legit. So I stand by what I said before. A. B. I think it's obvious that Chris is making up these names because you could hear in the last round where he petered out on what is it, Lady Persephone, Bavina, Zosina, Banana Fana, Von Heffernan.
That's a Beatles song.
Von Heffernan. And right at the end, he peters out. And then what? Chancellor Gorkin, that's a Klingon guy from Star Trek 6. That's a Klingon Chancellor, Gorkin.
I confirm this.
Chris is Von Bluffing. You're right, Adri. He's full of Von Bluff crap.
Every time you say, "Oh, that's a Star Trek reference," I laugh just because I want to go along with the show. But I have no idea what you're talking about.
No.
Alan, what are your thoughts about Chris's story?
Yeah. So Chancellor Gorkin is accurate as far as Carlos says. Also, no, General Chang was played by Von Trapp from Sound of Music. So that's all. It's a Star Trek 6. He recently saw Star Trek 6.
It's a Kaiser Soze scenario. Per use.
How do I
For
weave
Chris.
this into my story this week? I like the star-crossed headstones. I think that's very fun. I just think the Protestant Catholic controversy sounds more Irish to me. And if Holland used to be a Spanish country, why don't they speak Spanish?
Alan, you're getting very hung up on this Spanish thing.
I don't know.
They were gained their independence in the 1500s.
They must have spoke the language back then.
I mean, back then, Spain might not have even been Spain. It could have been the Muslim.
They didn't have recording.
Everything. It's just a lot of stuff.
Okay.
If only we had a historian here.
Oh man, gosh, I wish we did.
We can't afford.
So that's everything on Chris's story. And audience, you can decide if he is von bluffing. But while you're doing that, we're going to actually swing it on over to our next person. That'll be Alan. Please tell us your second part of the story when you get to the center and you hear the bomb.
Okay, so yes, Norse mythology. So the Norn stones are individual egg-shaped stones with unique properties. And there was actually a story in Norse mythology where Loki and Thor were sent on a mission by Odin. And so like Odin took away Thor's hammer, and all that Loki had was a bag full of stones, and he used these Norn stones to like shape shift things and transform into different things. But there are Norn stones all throughout Norse mythology. For example, there is Anvarinot's gift, which is a Norn stone that is cursed. It is a magic stone that is cursed, and on every 9th day, 8 new stones will drop out of Anvarinot. And the 8 new stones are of equal quality as its original.
Whoa. So unlike the Christians, they go to the 9th day and then new stones come. Can't people just get new stones? I mean, that just seems crazy. I don't know. That's good. But I do know that my grandmother has a bunch of those stones in this little china cabinet. And they're all different shapes and stuff like that. It says Frigere or something like that on it.
Same
and
stones.
So I think
same stones.
Same stuff. Okay. Carlos, what are your thoughts about Alan's?
I thought that we had to speak English here. I mean, I'm fine if someone wants to speak a different language. I'm all for it. I'm not against that, but I just wasn't prepared. And I think we should at least have a translator of whatever the hell Alan just said, because it made no sense. It's a bunch of gobbledygook.
Is he still? Are you gonna still call his stuff bluff shit, or has he downgraded, upgraded?
If I could understand it, I would call it bluff crap. I can only assume it's bluff crap because I couldn't understand a word he said. I think I got Norm from Cheers. I think that's all he said. Norm.
No, that's the
Norm several times. I think is he talking about Cheers? I guess he's talking about Cheers.
That's what happens on the 9th day. They fall from the sky. People get headaches, and then they go Norn. It's like, Chris, your thoughts, please, on Alan's story.
I had a flag go up immediately when Alan started in this round because he said out loud Norse mythology as if prompting himself to remember where he left his fictional tale at the end of round 1. And then he's like, oh, yeah, that's right. And he started going on. And then, to me, the clincher was at the end, I suspect that Alan's fantastic daughter is working on some math problems because every 9th day, 8 new stones sounds an awful lot like a school math problem that he might have been helping her with homework.
Oh, so you're going. I mean, I don't blame him for using his family to make the story plausible. I mean, that's a good trick. So there are no rules to this game, so people could do whatever the hell they want.
There are rules to the game. We said them earlier.
Gina, if you Google the rules, you'll find out there's rules.
There are rules.
What I meant is no other rules. Besides, I mean, he can trick the audience however he wants. Chris, Adam, could you please take Chris out of the feed for? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, there we go. All right. Well, that's so much for Chris.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so now.
Wait a minute. Wait, that's going to be uneven scoring. We can't.
It is. It's going to be uneven. All right. Well, it's actually Carlos's turn to just go, and Chris, I'm just playing. Carlos, your story starts whenever the bomb does.
The bomb. All right. So, yes, zone of death where potentially, technically, you could actually kill someone because, for example, if you kill someone in the Idaho part of Yellowstone, you can say no one lives in the Idaho part of Yellowstone, so a jury can't be formed. You can walk free. So the professor, Brian Kalt, brought this up to Congress. He said, hey, there's a place where the purge is technically legal. I think you should do something about that. And Congress could fix it simply. They could just pass a law placing the Idaho portions of Yellowstone inside the District of Idaho, and there you go, boom, bam, boom. And Montana is so tiny, but couple of people in Montana do live there, so that's not even a big issue. But you can give that part to the District of Montana instead of District of Wyoming. But of course, Congress is Congress, so 9 years after that, and even more, still nothing has been done.
It could even be a new state called Wyoming. That would be fun. All right. Oh, Chris, you're shaking your head. What?
I think your new state, Gina, it might be Wyoming, though.
Yeah, cute, right?
Man, again, there are states, and that every state in the country has counties and parishes in some states. Even unincorporated areas of these regions they have municipal control over these areas. There is nowhere in the country that is free, and also, just because there's no state law, there's federal law against murder in the United States. Federal law covers our national parks. Hooey, I call hooey.
Oh, he called hooey. But I think that if nobody were there to tell the police, national, federal, then how would they even know? I don't know. This is all I know is that if it's not true, Carlos, I want it to be. That's so cool. Alan, what do you think about Carlos's story?
Hey, Carlos has got this story like you're going to be in this part that they just didn't chart on a map. And then the federal government, like Chris said, like, oh, not my problem. What are you going to do? It's like, yes, it's in one of your parks. Of course you're supposed to do something. Oh, we didn't think of this. Well, this guy from Michigan told you it was going to be a thing. Oh, well.
Oh, well, I think the only part of Carlos's story that was definitely true is that Congress doesn't do anything quickly. All right, Alan, your turn. Actually, I apologize. Bzz, 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 bzz. Thanks, Adam. Adam, you know why you buzzed me? I know you do.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
Because it's time for Carlos. Carlos, did you go this round?
I just went.
We just talked about how
but for some reason, in my head, he put you back in the middle, and I was like, oh, no, did I screw up? But anyway, what that means is that we are on the next... Yay, thanks, guys.
You know what, Gina?
We're on the next phase of this show, and you want to know what it is?
Oh, my God, it must be round 3.
Yes.
Oh, Gina, there's a reason. Do you know what those things are above your head?
Yes, I did see that at the end.
It's the Round Tracker 3000. It tells you exactly where we are in the show. All 3 people have gone for round 1 and round 2, which means everyone has yet to go for round 3. And speaking of round 3,
how long have you known me? Like, we've known each other a long time, right? Like 20 something, right?
We have, yeah.
You know I'm a dingbat. Why do you even point that stuff out to me?
Gina, because I made the Round Tracker for you.
Now the truth comes out. See, that's the truth.
Listen, Gina, right. we're in round 3, and I still don't know who the bluff is, and it's going to be a really weird ending.
This is great. This is the first time you got to play without knowing.
Adam.
No, I have to know to do the text for the ending of the show.
I will, but do you want to make a guess real quick before I do that?
Okay. I will.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay.
Fair guess.
Okay. All right.
Okay, cool.
Let's
you make a guess.
I've never had the chance to do this before.
I know. That's why I think it's fun.
Let's see. So far, Chris is doing a lot of that crazy history stuff he does, with a lot of funny names, and we've seen that before. Let's see. Alan has jumped into his comic knowledge. It's a deep treasure trove. It could be a lie. It could be true. We don't know. And Carlos is presenting like majestically. He always does. God, it's like an even game. I'm gonna go with Chris. Chris is my guess.
Ooh, Chris is the guess for round 2. That's awesome. Anybody in the sidelines, please also guess. Somebody already voted of their hot sister, but she's not even playing, so you're kind of just ignoring that.
What is that?
Send us her info so she can play next week.
I'm pretty sure we're being botted, but that's all right.
We've never gotten botted before, people.
Yeah.
No, we know.
Hot photo. No, that's amazing.
This is Adam's favorite costume, the sex robot.
Okay, all right. Well, next
sex bot, baby, sex bot.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So now you know what this means, though, guys. We now are moving into the last and the final round, which we call.
Well, we already did it.
Sudden
but we'll do it again.
death.
It's round 3, people. It's round 3. Right,
Well, did we already do that? All
We did
right.
it.
I didn't
That's
really.
okay.
All right. You know what? Don't pay
We need-
attention to me. We're going to edit this later.
We
Okay. So
needed a
now
fresh
this is the
start.
No,
last
this
and
is
final
live.
round.
This is live.
Oh, this is live shit.
We needed a fresh
Okay,
start.
last and
Here we
final
go.
round. We're gonna go in this order. We're gonna start with Carlos. Carlos, your round right now has been reduced by 15 seconds again. For your final round, finish up your story about Yellowstone National Park and the 3 places where law does not exist.
Okay, so in 2007, some dummy actually tries to use this as a defense. This guy named Michael Belderain, he illegally shot an elk in Montana. He cited Cult's article, the professor's article, in his own defense in July 2007. He was standing in Yellowstone when he fired the shot. He dragged the elk's head to a truck parked in Yellowstone, so he was indicted in the U.S. District Court for District of Wyoming. He objected that he right to be tried by his jurors from the Montana portion, but that would have been impossible. But the court said no. They said, we will not grant you this. And it was kind of a bad call on the court's part, but the court realized if they went along with this, then this would officially be a purge zone. So they just said, you can plea out, but you can never appeal this up farther than this, because we cannot create a purge zone in this country.
Oh my God!
Sorry.
So they can't even take it to the Supreme Court if they wanted to.
No, they said part of the plea is we're going to plea you out, but you cannot take this purge argument further than here.
Ooh.
And technically, it wasn't a good answer from the judges, but it's like, we're not going to create a purge, guys. Sorry.
Wow, because everybody
Even if it's
was
against the
going
law,
there
we're not
and
doing it.
their things. I don't know if your story is true, Carlos. I want it to be, but I can't believe that there's lawlessness.
You
in the United
want there to
States
be a
right
purge
now.
zone?
What's that?
Oh, Gina, you want there to be a purge zone in the United States?
I'll tell you why after the show.
Oh my God.
Okay,
She does.
I do actually, and there are many reasons, and I don't want to get into it now because it's controversial. Okay,
People.
so Alan, what do you this guy? Alan, tell me, what do you think about that last part of Carlos's story?
I got lost there. So they denied him the ability to appeal. Is that what happened?
Yes, it was part of his plea agreement. They said, we're giving you a plea agreement. You're going to plea out, but you cannot. Part of the agreement is you cannot appeal this argument, the purge, like the zone of death argument, to a higher court. It needs to stop here.
But was part of the plea just not having any consequence? Like, what was his consequence?
Well, he took a plea deal, so presumably the consequences were lowered because he took the plea deal. But part of it, one of the provisions was you cannot take this higher. This part of it, we'll give you a plea. Presumably, we're going to lower what we can do to you if you do not try to push this further than us. Because they knew, like, they had wobbly legal legs to stand on because it was still a big gaping hole in the Constitution. And they're like, we don't want to legalize a zone of death.
Donald Trump should live there. Ooh, yeah, man. Okay.
So here's
So
the
it can
zone
still
of,
happen.
So the zone of death, as it stands, someone could kill someone in the zone of death, and they're like, okay, here's the deal. We're gonna give you $100 fine for murder. Just don't appeal.
Well, presumably, if someone does get murdered, like it came up, I won't mention the actual case, but there was a recent case where someone went missing and eventually was found dead, and they were very close to this area. So one of the theories was that it happened in this area because of the zone. I don't think that was the case ultimately, but they were like, that got Congress to kind of get interested in closing the loop again and just giving that portion to Wyoming, even though it's like technically in Montana or Idaho.
Okay, and murderers at home are going, what's he saying?
No, it's probably gone
know.
by now. Don't listen to this. Delete this whole episode, Adam. Delete it.
Oh, it's too late.
I don't know. On to Chris. What do you think, Chris?
Sounds
Yeah.
Well, just as the judges didn't want to create a gaping hole in the Constitution, Carlos does indeed want to create a gaping hole in the logic of his story because he's done that. The old adage, a person that has, person that represents himself as a fool for a client. Well, the person that talks about that kind of stuff in a story, trying to convince us that it's historically accurate, thinks that he has fools for listeners, and we're not fools. We are not taken by this. This just makes no sense. They set a precedent of not allowing an appeal because they didn't want to set a precedent on this other thing. So I give
Hey, Chris, I have some vacation time, and I have some camping gear. Let's go to Yellowstone, Chris. You and me. You and me, buddy. The southwest corner of Yellowstone.
Like, Carlos, I really was like believing you hook, line, and sinker until you said there's an article, but I'm not going to tell you what it is or what the names are. So
it's a downer. It's a downer.
Okay,
it's too close. It hits too close to home.
All right. Well, we got to keep on moving because we have to get 2 more stories in this round. So my next story, and Chris, please come to the center square. And then once the boom starts, you start. Okay?
All right.
Oh, man. Here it comes.
There it comes. So back to the Netherlands with pillarization making it impossible for Lady Aphrodite to be buried with her husband, because the Catholic and Protestant graveyards were actually separated by a physical large brick wall. You know what she did? She improvised, refusing a spot in her family tomb as she was getting towards her own death. She defiantly bought the plot directly on the other side of the wall from her husband. She then arranged to have 2 stone clasped hands come built out of the top of each of their gravestone, and they connect above the wall. So today, more than 130 years later, the controversial lovers who caused an uproar back in their day in Rawdon, they have gravestones holding hands. It's one of the top destinations for tourists in the region. They actually have above the wall holding hands just to say pooey to the rules back then.
Oh, that's so sweet. And if they didn't have like a mausoleum and they were underground, they could have even had their heads touching or something. Oh, that's so sweet.
Who knows what they have touching underground? We don't know.
We don't know. Alan, what do you think?
That is probably the best ending I've heard to one of our History Bluff stories. And because it's so good, it's got to be false. Completely written. It's way too romantic to be real. That's my story.
And so we're all going, oh, we can picture it and all that. Good job, Chris, because, that's the whole point. All right. Well, Carlos, you already said about his story, right? Or no? Have you not?
I feel like the architecture, the engineering of the day would not allow for a long-ass arm to jut, 10, 15 feet out of the ground to create so they had to clasp it here. So they basically had this arch that they then had to mount into the ground so it wouldn't fall over.
Yeah.
No.
They could have been in their graves doing back bends or something. It is true. I didn't think about that. That's
they're
a good
dead,
point.
Gina. The bodies didn't do anything.
Well, you can't move them then as rigor mortis. But I'm just saying, if they got to them soon enough, they could position them.
You took it to a dark place, Gina.
All right. We're trying to have happy endings. I know. Okay. Well, that is a really good, and I actually love that story, but I do agree with Carlos's, that would be impossible physically. So now both of you are causing me, and I know who the bluffer is, so both of you are causing me pain.
I still don't know.
Okay, Alan, it is your turn.
Our tech needs to know by the end of round 3, Gina. Text Adam, signal Adam. Do something with your phone.
I shall. But hey, listen.
Listen,
guys, we're gonna go now. See, there's 1, 2 little things in the roundinator thing. So we have one more story. Who is it?
That's right.
It's you, Alan.
No, it's me. You got to tell. Alan. I got to get my time.
Well,
remember, while I'm telling the story, tell Adam who's the bluff. Okay,
no, Gina. First, look up pillarization on Google.
No, don't
do that first.
You guys are illegal.
Because this is Adam's fault for not asking again before now.
All right, Alan, your time begins now.
Okay, well, anyway, there were a number of Norn stones in Norse mythology. And it's not Norm, Carlos. It's Norn, Norn.
We're saying the same thing.
Anyway, I'm going to name you a few more. The giant Heimer, he was a giant named Heimer in Norse mythology. And there was a large Norn stone that the gods would need for washing clothing. Other Norn stones included the Brinsingamen, which was a beautifully ornate Norn stone given to the goddess Freya, and it was made by the 4 dwarves Alfred, Burling, Devalin, and Grrr. Also, there's the Bowden stone, but I don't have time for that. You got enough stones.
And
You've
you have a
learned
question,
enough.
Alan?
I'll teach you
I
no
just
more
need you
today.
to tell me what any of those stones mean. Just one, so that I know you're not bluffing. Just one.
Those are just their names.
Oh, they don't do anything?
I just described what they were.
One of them, the washing machine.
Yeah,
Oh, one
that's
of them
the
was-
one.
That's
Oh,
the
that was called Kodron. I'm sorry, I didn't name that one. You're absolutely right.
I
that
thought it was
was
called
Kodron.
Calgon.
No,
Okay.
so that would have been good.
The
That would've
giant
been
hammer is
good.
my favorite.
Calgon for washing clothes. Yes.
No, actually, Alan, I love that story. My husband wrote a play called The Iliad, the Odyssey, and all of Greek mythology in 99 minutes or less. And the reason I say that is because a lot of that mythology crosses over. So a lot of your stuff had truth, but it also had stuff that didn't match in my head. So see, all of you have given me all these little teeny weeny tidbits that are like, this is amazing. And then also, what? So that means that it is time for our audience to guess and tell us who they think the bluff is. And then Adam, did you get the text, or do you want to make a guess? If you got the text,
I got the text. I got the text.
Cool. So
I'm
that means that
surprised.
let's look through the anybody. Nope, not
There
yet.
we go.
I know, right? So we are gonna now show you or tell you. I'm gonna take myself out of the feed, Adam. I'm turning the show right over to you, so you
do
can
we
tell
wanna
the
do
whole
last-
studio audience who it is.
Do we want to do last thoughts, or do we want
Oh,
to
yeah.
another round?
Actually,
We're
yeah.
gonna get a call out.
Yeah, let's
We'll
do-
start with Chris. Chris, tell us your last thoughts about everything. Oh, Carlos, you got to vote. Haha.
Oh wow!
How dare
Yeah.
you, Adrian?
Yeah, you sure did.
How dare
My
you?
thoughts are why would the Norse gods need a washing machine? Why would they need to wash their clothes? They're not.
It's not a machine. It's a stone that you used to wash for giants, apparently.
But why would they
Man,
need to
that's
wash
an
their clothes in the
ancient-
first place? I don't know.
It's an ancient
but-
Chinese secret too, not
It
Norwegian.
is an ancient secret. I
They're
still,
very versatile.
as much as I disbelieve this Norse stuff, I am actually going to agree with Adri, and I'm going to vote for Carlos as the bluffer because there's just gaping holes in that logic that they set a precedent because they didn't want to set a precedent.
Ooh,
Federal law.
Carlos,
Federal law
Carlos,
covers
one
it.
vote for Carlos. Actually, 2 if we count Adri's. Alan, who do you think is bluffing?
Okay, so I mean, either one could be. I did say that Chris was so far fetched that it had to be false, but then usually that logic gets people in trouble. So I think that truth was stranger than fiction in Chris's case, and therefore Carlos's mundane story about jurisdictions and you can get away with murder in certain parts of the country, I think that's got to be made up.
Wow, that's 3.
Oh man, he calls you a bluff and mundane. That's really harsh. So that's 3 votes for Carlos. Carlos, you're
It's
the
not
only
3
one.
votes.
Well,
Well,
Adri
Adri-
is unofficial.
Oh, okay.
Audience,
Adri
yeah.
and Chris and Alan. Wait, let me do my math. 1.
Oh boy.
Yep,
Oh,
3
boy.
votes for you.
All right. Well, let's see. What did Alan talk about just now? He talked about his Norm stones and his Bazinga stones and his Kojak stones. But even though he talked about a whole bunch of stones that sound made up, I feel he is a comic aficionado, so he could fake it till he made it. But I think Chris is the bluffer.
All right, so just for the audience recap, and then we'll turn it over to Alan. I mean Adam. So the audience recap: Carlos has 3 votes if we're counting Adri, and we are. And Chris has 1 vote. Alan has 0 votes. Neither do I. P.S. Neither does Adam. But Adam does know the winner, or actually whoever the bluff is. I don't know how you
do know.
calculate winner. Adam, I'll let you do that. I'm going to turn the show over. I'm going to get out of the stream. Thanks, guys. I'll be right back.
Oh, you can just turn your camera off. You don't have to leave the stream. You stay in
Oh,
the
okay.
stream.
Then I'll do that.
Don't ruin
Leave
it,
the
Gina.
stream.
She's okay. Good. She's still in there. Okay. Oh, it's my
There
show
we go.
now.
There we go.
Oh boy, get in the little boo holes, my friends, because we're gonna
What?
find out. I don't know. It's a boo hole. Go with it. Go
Did you
with
say
it.
poo hole?
No.
Boo.
No. Do you think? Okay, who could it be? Could it have been Chris with his crazy story about foreign things? Could it be Alan with his crazy story about stones and rocks, or was it Carlos? Carlos with his story of the purge. Oh, I know. I know who this. I finally know, and I'm going to tell everybody who it was. It was Alan.
Damn it.
Oh,
With 0 votes.
nicely done, sir.
That means he won.
Nicely done.
Yes.
Oh, that does mean that Alan Forbes is this week's winner because he fooled us all. His
Good
bluff
job.
was the bluff of all bluffs. And he also used the trickery of saying Chris's story was crazy and Carlos's story was mundane, and that tricked people enough to not vote for you. So
He
good
gaslit
job, Alan.
us.
Huh?
Total.
Yeah, total.
I knew it.
total-
The nerds wouldn't allow soul gems to be changed.
Of course.
I
No,
knew
that
it.
part was Marvel Comics. I was saying that the Nornstones are from Norse mythology, which they're not. They're made up by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
The norms, the
Nordstrom.
norm stones.
I like
They
the
sell them in
tagline.
Nordstrom.
I'm so glad they're made up because I didn't understand what the hell they did. So thanks everybody for coming out this week. We really appreciate it. And thanks to our studio audience. Chris and Carlos and Alan, great job guys tonight. And Adam the Tech, thank you so much, and play us out, would you?
You got it, Gina. Everybody, tune in next week for another episode of History Bluffs. We'll see you then.